morning or good day, depending on what time you're seeing this. It's not. It's not. I'm not sure what to think about that one little blurb that popped up, but hopefully, I think it shows it in other spots too. I don't hopefully need to see it. It's really unfortunate. Okay, he just summed that up. Well, I mean that might be a good thing. Um, I think the one question, which I guess it's true, it is asked in the title as well. Um, I think that I'll wait until we have some people viewing. It's kind of a rainy morning out there. Not that I'm out in it. Don't need to be, and thankful for that. Uh, but and I'm always drinking coffee, and I did make today, and otherwise I've been really and made a pretty good one though. Um, and I don't know. It's just one of those mornings. Do you ever have those times when you kind of just wish to be like a zombie, kind of, sort of, like briefly on the left. You just kind of, I don't know if I want to say blend in or just kind of, yeah, yeah, just kind of numb sometimes, right? Um, I don't want to forget the one part of my title, and I didn't copy select it. Sure, I could type it in the comment section to remind myself. I mean, I'm thinking that most people that click into it will have read the title before they did so. Um, but it's a concept that when it came to YouTube today, it showed me something initially, and I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting, and it's I thought, could be a good topic, could be a good topic, and maybe that's what's happening sometimes, when it's happening is that maybe I am unintentionally um, triggering something within. Yeah, I guess that's true. That looks like a spotlight, maybe a little bit more than I'd like it to. It's only going to be more so if I do it the other way. Where it's like, oh, they're seeing something about themselves that they, if nothing else, it stirs emotions. I don't know. I mean, I can think of something that happened a while back, kind of just a little before Christmas, a couple months before Christmas, where I could say, yeah, that kind of maybe applied. The other thing is that, and the dog's fine already back in the vid. And I guess it's true. I was doing the spiritual one, and I actually said it in the video. It was just after 8 o'clock. I didn't think it was right after he left, and it wasn't the initial. The initial. It was, I think, about that group. Which good thing is I just don't want to find out the word. Good thing is that because I've been looking for things to put in my schedule lately as things. Well, they're sped up in some ways, but they're still. It's pretty empty and so forth in a lot of ways. And so I can go to a bi-weekly group, so that's twice a month, and then one that's once a month at the top of the month. So that's 3 times in a month I can go to groups. One of them may apply more than the other, but we'll see. And I honestly don't know, with my ability that I share about and that I talk about, that'll either, and I'd probably only share it one-on-one, and, I'm still getting to know people on that, but, well, I mean, I haven't even went yet, but it'll either be a good thing or it'll be, so I'm trying to adjust that light because I realize that it's, when I move, it's kind of, I don't really want the other one on though, it's too bright. I might just have to be half lit sometimes. Like, Phantom of the Opera is there inside your mind. See if nobody's watching it, but yeah, I do enjoy listening to music at night, and I don't know a whole lot of other songs from it. I've never seen it. But we're getting a delivery sent to us in about half an hour. So I didn't want to really relax downstairs, although I am up often enough, whether it's, or whatever. Anyway, but and I'm just it could be at this time of day in Denver, but it is raining this that, and people get up early and the brain start working. I know I experienced that today, and it could have been actually I could have stayed in my slumbers a bit longer, and it was enjoyable. I don't remember. I was having some sort of dream. There was a woman in it, and that's all I remember. And I may have been in it, but for the great sake, if people watching that would want to comment, but yeah, so that's what kind of prompted the one the other day, and that's what prompted this one. It's just kind of the whole idea. Yeah, he's already off. The whole idea of not wanting to go get too comfortable in the living room doing other things. But I can only do this so long, and if there's nobody watching, if there's not engagement, there's not engagement, and if there is, well, I might say, can you come back in half an hour? But once the stuff arrives, and that's the thing. I guess one thing I want to talk about was customer service, because I can totally see it. I understand if there's no sign why people might not know about the gate, but there is a note on our file. But I can totally see it where somebody who's delivering, and I don't want to say I see it a bit more in a certain context, but I might. But basically, where obviously we're home if we're expecting this delivery, especially for what it is. And well, I guess, but there is a sign on the door, but it might not be. But she wants to be sure she's buying a stairway to heaven. But there's a sign on the door, but it is behind the screen door. But then you don't have to open that to ring the doorbell. So it's possible that they're ringing the doorbell. But I thought we had our note, or we should have call upon arrival. But a lot of times, whether it's a note I didn't do something else I'm doing, or a nap, I almost missed a great customer that came the other day. But yeah, so basically, but I could see it that even in the rain, they would just, hopefully it's moving in the school, but the school should be in by then. They use paper bags lately, and we get a lot of them. We've been putting our recycling in it, actually. And I could just see them laying them on a wet deck instead of trying a door and seeing if I'm there so they can hand them to me. Because although those bags are surprisingly durable, but I don't know if copy this. I'll put that back later on notice. But yeah, I did kind of want to talk about that. And this isn't an official channel for the business, and I don't know. I don't know if people search the business name if they would find the channel. Who was it? There was somebody I was thinking about saying that we have a work from home business. I feel like there was some sort of financial something, but income tax has been done. I don't know who the heck that would have been. Not Spirit. But anyway, point of the matter is yeah, and like the other day, for whatever reason, the phone was on mute. I didn't even really actually remember seeing it, but next thing I know, I've got it in my hand, I'm answering it, and there's somebody here, and it was a pretty nice experience. I must say, we sent a message via Glenn. I was mentioned, and that got ignored. It's true. I knew this guy from a long, long time ago. I didn't even know if I was looking at him, and it's weird because my one device doesn't show so. Or when I searched, I don't think I walked into my current account. That would have been within the last 3 years, and no, I don't think so. I haven't thought of this guy or, the connection that I have with him online on my old account. At least, probably since before I moved here. It goes back a while. It's not someone I was in a lot of contact with, and maybe that's why. Maybe that's why he's doing that. It's kind of like, I'm not saying who, but if it's you, it's kind of like maybe he thought, well, he never tried. Well, actually, we did talk a little bit, but again, it's been a long time. I think I seem to almost remember way back then. I looked at his page; there was nothing recent. I don't know. Back then, I had a lot more going on. I had a lot more contacts, and you can only juggle so much. Was he making much effort? You know, I don't think so. Now he's just like trying to promote, but I have to look at the website because now I know what I said, and he was like, "Oh, maybe he meant the other one." That's what I did say. So hopefully I'll hear back about that soon. I've got thoughts about my brother, thoughts about Glenn's sister, but yeah, basically, so I don't know if you just thought that I hadn't really been trying to be a guy, but mention me, and then you did say anything. Uh, and there, I feel like there was a couple other mentions, not entirely related about me, that kind of got annoyed. In other words, kind of very, very purpose in mind with the messaging, and that's it. Not free spirited, in other words. But I don't want to get too detailed, but I don't exactly have. I mostly have acquaintances. I have had lots of good friends. Some of them, they've just faded over the years, and now they're hard to reach. Like they don't have the same. They're not online often. They don't have the same number, whatever it is. But there's been no problem. Sure, some could say some people just don't address them, and they just silently disappear, or ghost, as some people say. But this was before I'd ever started hearing about ghosting. And no, I know, because they were people. I mean, yeah, but you never know what's going to affect somebody. Like, it's true. Like, maybe some people, they're like, oh, we'd see each other online, but I mean, but like, I'm thinking of one. She's older. She really didn't use her social media very much, so it's when we saw her in person, and otherwise not at all. And that's cooled off already, but whatever. And like I say, then moved and whatever. And that's something, if I knew that I could make it back, but then now we're making a profit. That's the thing. So sometimes I'm more in my own head than meaning to share, but I don't know. I know it's here right now, sort of. But yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. I just didn't want to hear that music on repeat and then be asked that thing. I could just say I don't want to answer that. But that, I mean, would imply that, okay, it's not no then. I mean, it's I mean, I don't know. If I got Ariella, great. Otherwise, it might be a shot in the dark or hit and miss. And they can't tell us whether to take our trip or not. They can't tell us. I tried to actually say what they took Glenn, but he was so focused on the piano and played big tune, they need to go to work. But basically, my brother thinks you can only hear birds in the spring. The flowers one I could get. Birds, especially, I'm thinking that in our winter climate, theirs isn't as bad. They did get a lot of rain, but I mean, birds don't just cease to exist in other seasons. They make do, right? So, and there's so many different types of birds too. Like, I feel very mixed. I don't want to get into too much depth because I may or may not be sharing my channel soon, but I don't think he's one to stop him up. And you know what? He it's not that I don't, but he definitely, yeah, that's real life. I didn't show on that browser properly, or the business profile. He don't, I don't want to say he tries harder to get jobs, but maybe he does a little bit. And usually it seems to work. Again, I don't know what I don't see, but it seems to be that it does. But so I have some different things I want to read on my phone, and I really don't have any plan. Well, I have a doctor calling at 11. I have the delivery to receive. And then I was thinking I might have plans on the weekend, but with that person, they might be too busy doing other things in another province, actually, so I can't even really join them. But the other thing isn't until August. And that the other one, I don't want to get hugely in depth, but and she's at work right now, or at least having breakfast with her mother-in-law before going to work. She does juggle pretty well, but she's trying to plan a thing, even though, like I said, if that's August, then that's far away. And each individual is going to do a bit of planning too. And then I think she does have that other thing. I think is coming up this weekend already, or this weekend. But I can't get there, and as much as people would try and be welcoming and belonging, probably recognize some from coming here. Um, there's a particular reason why I would feel a little bit awkward being there. And let's just say this, in case you're like, in case somebody watching this afterwards, like, what's so unusual? It's mostly going to be women, but it's honestly something that any gender can benefit from, and men should do more. And it's actually not just one thing either. I don't think, but a number of things. But point of the matter is, they can't get there. And it's a bit of an inconvenience unless she's coming for other. It is. Drive 5 hours here, 5 hours back, plus be here. You pretty much have to dedicate a day to it. And that's without having to drive us back. So I can't ask her that. It's the driving us back, and that, instead of just coming once back and forth, you have to come in. Right. Yeah, it's it'd be way too. That's another province. It's not super far, but it's not super close. So we can't cab it, and there's fit cab these days, which people should do good and not mess up, because like $20, if my mother's right, to get to the airport is not bad. But with these fake cabs I've been hearing about, and hadn't, but he didn't disbelieve me. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, so mixy about the new content and where we might want to go with it, but he might be plugging things frequently to us and accepted, and so he's fine with it. Haven't heard anything from Laura, and it's a little bit awkward because it's a couple and didn't know what they didn't know. But also, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, but I mean, not my type that way. And I'm not trying to be mean or say someone's ugly or anything, but she's not my type as a person. And I know that it's not all about looks. However, I do think that it totally makes sense that people are attracted to. I mean, it's just a very human thing, that people be attracted to the. This would be a great segue for someone tuning in. The vibe and look of a person. And I would say there's always, even if a small amount in that case, which might be central, but sometimes it's just like, oh, you wear bright colors. I notice things about you. I'm not, and slider, no kidding. But kind of. But then it's also the person, and that I'm not discounting that. So it's more the latter with this person, not because of age, or I don't even want to say because of that. It is. She reminds me a little bit of Elizabeth, ironically, because that name popped up a couple times the other day, but different Elizabeths. And also, no, then I saw someone that reminded me of her in a video, which is ironic that kind of stuff doesn't happen more often. Anywho, but yeah, so basically, can't find her even with the unique spelling. It's very strange. And she did seem to be kind of alluding that she was on there. But then she also kind of seemed to be more so saying the website. But what was really weird is when she came in, this is a customer, when she came in, she hadn't been in our house for more than 5 minutes. And I don't think it was because of her age, but she said, I don't really want to say it here, and somebody just did tune in. And then she said her full name, not just her first. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm not giving you my full name. I wasn't asking. But I could have understood it because the way her name is spelled is kind of unique. I'm not complaining or anything, but although she seemed to but yeah, the welcome churches, I don't know if that means they're religious, but she said if she said it the way it was, and I knew somebody that said it that way, but it didn't, then I may have said, "Oh, what's your last name?" I mean, but then again, that would be know but not to recognize kind of thing. Anyway, but the matter is, she said the full name. She's someone that wants to be, you know, found and associated with. I do need to spend a few minutes in the other room before I go downstairs and hopefully get our stuff before it's left in the rain too long, or even just the wet deck from when it was raining a little earlier. I remember, I think last time we got the delivery, I can't remember, the gate may have been closed just in case. That guy came and he wasn't hanging around on the stairs, he wasn't eager to get down, but I mean, we've gotten delivered a number of times, so I mostly feel like he could remember, oh, that's all it is. Yes, I need to know whether I'm saving that money in my wallet or not. I mean, I should anyway, but we're always, I can't end it. So, I mean, we're always going to need food. We're always going to have bills to pay. That is just what it is. And even though I don't like to shop at the place, I don't hate it. I kind of like it as opposed to online sometimes. But, yeah, basically, I feel mixed about it. And he's kind of thinking, oh, if something happens, then during surgery, then we just won't go. But I was like, I'd still like to see the place, maybe meet some of the people. But it's vacation time, and he wouldn't be able to take up any during Britain. But it'll be the weekends, maybe the occasional evening. Only goes for 2 weeks. I mean, that's not a short time, but it's not a long one. When I wait so long for it and I enjoy it so much. But I think if it was a lot longer than that, I'd be like, oh, I don't have any energy to continue doing it. I'm not used to this. But so my feet are a little bit sweaty, but they're also cold on the top. But yes, I do have something else I wanted to do in the other room. I was hoping this would be engaging. I mean, just to kind of clarify the title, because this is a little bit shorter. If that, people have different video watching patterns, involvement. Some watch but don't say anything. Some will say something. Some like longer ones that they can kind of settle into and get into, like a TV show. Although I watch a lot of TV shows on YouTube, and a lot of them are only about 20 to 25 minutes long when you take out commercials. And some of them are a full hour even with commercials, like something we were watching the other night, and it was before we placed our order. I wish we would have seen some products we wanted to order, but still, we got it just under $200, and that's good. But yeah, I'm holding on to some money because of that, and another 20 in another 5. But yeah, so I hope the weather's going to be good next Monday and Tuesday. But yeah, so just on the title, because nobody else is here, time kind of flew. This did help pass the time. And the only other thing I kind of want to say, and I'm not in the habit of doing this often, but it's frustrating. I mean, things have been busier lately in this way, but which has been great, actually. It really has been nice. But like we have another one that's not been a great communicator. She seems to really want. She said, "I'd try one more time," and then she still seems to really want. And we don't want her saying bad things about us, but she just annoys me. Although she may not, and she didn't say this at first for the first while in the hospital, but so I was going to leave that thing on. And evenings can work, weekends are better. And I understand, some people have busy schedules, I suppose, but it's just, we'd suggest a time, she'd suggest something completely opposite. That's happened at least 2 or 3 times. She's maybe been a little bit frustrated, but hasn't been super obvious. It looks like she asked on Sunday. Well, I thought she said she couldn't do the weekend. I mean, plans can change. We didn't notice it, I think, until today. So, so yes, it says seen, but like if it said seen on Wednesday or this many hours ago, she'll be like, oh, okay, they saw it afterwards. I'm thinking I might actually close it though, and he says it happens easy enough. just this morning, I think you said that. But because if she said something else, but yeah, I'm gonna leave that one up to him. And I thought that I put whatever, but brought it back. But I'm gonna leave that up to him. I thought that was right around when I looked. It must have been later that day. Uh, Although it's an easy one because it's a type of product that we don't have as much of, and I'd probably be pretty able to easily facilitate that. It's something I can do during the day, but I don't know how variable she is during the day. That's one thing. It does sound like she works. Maybe she thinks that's obvious, but I mean, everybody is different. People have work part time, people work evening, people don't work, or they're self employed and the hours really vary. Whatever. And if that's not obvious to someone, I mean, with a few minutes of thinking, then, you know, but it almost seems like she thinks that we should assume that, oh, she works during the day. Um, I don't know. But I don't know. I think there's been once or twice where she's thought of, but I had certain feelings pop up at least twice, about twice. And then I was holding on to them, as we sometimes do, right? With feelings. And then I just kind of, guess you could say, slightly shut down anything further that came in. But business is business, and it's important. And like I say, it would be pretty easy, and it would help. Although hopefully we'd have some home cooked meals if we did travel. Hopefully, they'd help us out because I mean, but everybody's struggling. I don't know what the cost of living is like there, but with the cost of food and bills, we're all struggling. While also trying to enjoy life. Um, I mean, food can be enjoyable, of course, and getting your bills paid and caught up with is enjoyable or is comforting, right? But on that note, so just before I wrap up here, yeah, time flew. It's been pretty quiet, but it's actually only been about half an hour, which is weird because I started it at like 8:15 or something like that. But just to kind of clarify, people that do either watch till here or skip and hearing this, just to kind of clarify what I didn't watch the and it was short. I was in the mode to start this. I wanted to stop with that idea and run with it, but I was watching this video. Yeah, it was kind of interesting that showed to me, and interesting that lady, the bright makeup, my skin kind of cool, and she said something about reflecting how we reflect each other as people, essentially. And I think that could be a cool topic. Because nobody's here and I have to go, I'm not going to get hugely deeply into it. But basically, the idea of I don't know, yeah, I'll be much quicker than yeah. The idea of one thing I do want to try though, and I don't think that this is always a thing that happens or needs focus, but like, and I think I'm just genuinely a good communicator because I appreciate that. And a lot of people aren't. A lot of people aren't. This is the thing. So like, and it's the same. It's the same but different with like bullying. Sometimes people bully something that they don't want to accept in themselves and see in somebody else, or at least they become a bit uncomfortable or whatever it is. And that's hopefully not my intent, and hopefully we can, hopefully you're hearing this out to the point where I say, hopefully we can all grow through those feelings. Grow, GROW, because another word sounds like it, right? But like when I look at I know what it's like to, at times, sometimes often, to be ignored. So if somebody is mentally someone, I'm not going to ignore them. Whether, because obviously it gave, we both mentioned, we were both involved. He did say thank you, kind of a general way, but it's kind of like I don't want anybody to think that I'm ignoring anybody. That I guess is brought to my attention. You know, um, I feel bad because with this trip, there's one person particularly. I honestly think the ones on the street. I mean, it almost sounded good the one I told about the other day, but we'd have to get them outside the city, get him outside the city, and then if anything happened there, it's far from home, yada yada. Wouldn't it be interesting if he got away, but he found his way back to the house and he was waiting to come back in? But basically, of course, we do have good identification on him. So people might wonder why the heck is your dog in another town with this identification? This must not be accurate. But and then we'll say, oh yeah, we'll just. But they might think because people are travel minded, especially. That's why she wasn't that. But and I feel a little bit awkward asking Buddy because we haven't really talked with her much lately. But the um, the one on the street I think seems like a good option. Might be the other one. Like the other one, I do. I feel really bad. She wants to help. She almost kind of does. She didn't say a lot. Seemed excited. First of all, we're trying to figure out the details first. Second of all, and if she's seeing this, I mean, you do sound like a great person. Um, you must be able to do a story. I would say that much. But you did kind of drop off with the project that I had brought up, um, and that and Arthur came back, but I'm just worried that, especially if you're mother at a point in time, I'm just worried that she, not to sound mean or whatever, but it's just not. Yeah, we do have customers, but not often, and not often in this one. That being said, though, the one that was most recently here was a little larger. I still think what's basically maybe bigger than her though, and it was still really being friendly. But I think maybe it's. I mean, yeah, really, he's pretty good with sound and scent for the most part, I would say. But if someone's really bubbly or moves too fast, like she wasn't necessarily quick moving. She wasn't slow, but or as clumsy, or like these are things that I kind of sense could be the case, and then he just might get a little anxious. But he does really like a lot of people. I mean, I hate to say this because I know it sounds certain way. Nobody's watching right now, but you could totally call him a lip dog because he kisses often. When he bites, it's not hard. It's just kind of like play nipping or like a warning, and then moments later he'll be kissing you. You know what I mean? But but I wanted to stay for a moment, like with this one individual. Could I? Well, if her mother is in the hospital, that is something, and I guess I'm still not saying names. I guess that would be stressful, and I know everybody's different, but when you're used to being how you are, it just becomes so second nature. And it seems so obvious, and other people, there are people out there like this, but it's just eventually she did say, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like she hasn't once said a sorry, I can't do that, or maybe she did once, but I don't think so. um, I don't know, it's just, but that reflection thing is essentially like putting yourself in someone else's shoes. If you can do it, great, let's talk about it. um, because yeah, I'm curious, curious to hear how viewers maybe not just to what the topics, but also just my vibe and such might relate to me. Um, I really, really want to know now that I'm thinking about it, but nobody's here, so whatever. But the delivery will be soon, so I better get moving and grooving. But yeah, I think you kind of get where I was going with that, though. So we'll do another in the series, perhaps. I'm really looking forward to being. Yeah. I want the live comments. I need the interactions. I want to answer people's questions. I mean, there would be her, obviously. And I just like it if we can get it to work. Otherwise, yeah. But what I was suggesting is just that, like, on this device is bigger. Um, and it might be hit miss, but if there's a second person here and they're actually in the room, I think that would be better. Uh, yeah, certain ones turn out differently, I guess. But so I can roll, and then she can roll whatever she wants to do. But if we're looking for live interactions, well, I hope we get them here, because yeah, she can't roll in two different modes on her thing. The only other thing we could do is do the Zoom on mine, thing on hers, and I can figure out how to record it on Zoom. That might be good. Anyway, got to get moving and grooving. Don't want that stuff sitting out there, especially on a good day. So talk to you later.